What's up guys, Duke Sloth here, and today we're talking about Cheiron, the new upcoming god in Smite. As always, thanks to Smite Data Mining for allowing me to use their stuff, and this week thanks goes out to Fundled Bundle on Reddit for finding this. Starting with his passive, Cheiron has an ability called HERRAL. Every 12 seconds, Cheiron collects herbs for a polis, which increases all healing Cheiron receives for each polis he carries. Each time he uses an ability, the lowest health ally within 30 feet is healed, consuming a polis. This is a little irritating as it talks about healing for Cheiron and at the same time it talks for healing about his allies. We'll see how exactly that works out, but either way you can have a max of 3 stacks and it's a bonus of 10% healing per stack. And you have the healing per consumed stack starting at 50, going up by 4 for every god level. Over 5 seconds, so it's quite a huge heal actually. The first actual ability that you can use has no name yet. It is a ground target ability that affects enemies and allies, and it has a small radius. The description is Cheiron wants his teammates to evade the area, cleansing them so they can escape before it explodes, damaging all enemies within. So it seems to have a cleanse, and it seems to deal quite a lot of damage. It's actually very high scaling at the moment, and affects basically everyone in a small radius. On to ability number 3, called Masterful Shot. Cheiron passively marks his enemies as targets when he damages them with basic attacks or centaurs, reducing their physical protection by 3%. He may activate this ability to fire seeking arrows at all marked targets within range, damaging and slowing them. The obvious part here is the mini executioner with a 3% protection shred. And then you have the target seeking arrows, meaning you can probably hit as many targets as you want and you will deal damage to everyone, which could kinda possibly maybe be his wave clear if the radius of the other ability is not large enough, if you hit all targets before. Ability number 3 is called Barreling for now. Cheiron gallops forward, damaging enemies, knocking up minions, and kicking enemy guards behind him. This is a little weird. We don't know exactly how this kicking enemy guards behind him works, like if he passes them or he kicks them behind him, if he runs through them, whatever. We will see about that. Also, this ability has been a jump at some point, a leap at some point. It kind of gets switched between a leap and dash all the time. And it used to have an attack speed thing attached to it. Not really sure what this is meant to be, if it was an attack speed buff, if it was the speed of the attack. Either way, it used to be a copy of Vamana's dash and then got changed gradually. I'm not sure if you can actually control your movement while using it. Then we have the ultimate. In some version it was called Shooter, probably not the final name. Cheiron is rewarded for teaching countless heroes by being transformed into a constellation, during which time he may fire his enormous bow 3 times over great distances, even through walls. If Cheiron is killed during this form, he will instead dies after he finishes firing. Applies target mark. So this may be the centaurs mentioned in one of the other abilities that doesn't really have any explanation to it. It seems to be set up in such a way that it gets a reduction when going through walls, what we can read from earlier descriptions of the ability, that the damage reduction by 10% sets in whenever you go through a wall. But you have to keep in mind that the scaling is still ridiculous. You get 90% scaling for 3 shots. This is an insane amount of damage if you can hit all 3 of those. Question is, how long is the delay gonna be? How long is the range gonna be? Somebody assumed it would be something like Janus ults, but that sounds a little too much. Maybe Ra distance. We will see. But it's definitely an interesting ultimate that we haven't seen that way before. The only one who comes to mind who is a little bit similar is Ram. Here are his base stats. I'm not going to go into these any further, but I wanted to mention that he has a movement speed of 380 and is now the fastest god in the game judged from base movement speed along with Sir Cat. Here you can see his recommended items, which at this point are quite clearly hunter items. And from his design, it's very likely that he's going to be a hunter. Last but not least, here's his lore. I'm not going to read all of that, but if you're interested in it, just stop the video right here and read it. Other than that, thank you for watching. Duke Sloth out.